isn't it? Do you hear that whistling sound? Man, we sure is getting high.
You want some more brownies?
No. Boy, that sure is weird music. Yeah, it sounds like, outer space-time music.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Always ready. Born ready.
Well, I'd say we're going.
Okay.
Mike Worden, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome to Cosmic Creatures. You are a retired Major General in the United States Air Force.
Right.
You had a 33-year career. You also then went to Lockheed Martin, where you were an executive. And then even after that, you were developing an experimental craft of your own business that you started. So you've had, to say the least, an exciting career. You've done a lot. And before that, you were a starting QB for the United States Air Force Academy in 74 and 75.
Right.
So I think let's start there with your football career.
Sure.
What was it like being you even faced off against Joe Montana in a game?
Yeah, in that generation.
Yeah.
Well, I was privileged to play academy football at the Air Force Academy and play a lot of big teams for all 3-4 of the years that I played. And so, like any person in college, it's in a hyper-competitive environment.
Sure.
Where everybody's working very hard. You learn teamwork. You learn how to deal with success, how to deal with failure, how to learn resilience, how to learn adaptability, how to learn solving problems, how to learn to trust others. So the things that college, Division I especially, college sports give you at that competitive level requires a lot of work, a lot of personal character growth, right?
Yeah.
Teamwork, selflessness, sacrifice, hard work, persistence. So there were good character traits for a very young person trying to become an adult.
Absolutely. And things that I would imagine extremely benefited your military service afterwards, your military career.
Right. I think a lot of those played, and a lot of my best friends in the fighter world were college football players too. They were that competitive and that, I'll say, coordinated.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good experience. The whole academy experience was very challenging and I think really helped set me up for success.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into the next question that I have for you about your best friend, Rich Ritchie.
Oh, yeah. Well, Rich and I went to grade school together, and then we went to high school together, and he was, an all-star offensive tackle at our high school, which was a pretty competitive high school. Yeah. And so we went to playoffs. We experienced a lot there. He was also a wrestler, heavyweight wrestler, and so we decided to go to the Air Force Academy together, and we were able to be roommates as a freshman year. I think the coach did that. The varsity football coach did that to keep us from quitting.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So anyway, we were good roommates.
Yeah.
And then after the freshman year, they split us up, and we went to different squadrons. But we made it through the first year, which is challenging. And then we started playing together, and I think he played. I started before he did, and then my senior year he started as our right guard.
Oh, very cool.
So we played college football together, and then when we graduated, we both did very well in soaring or gliding, and in the flying training at the Air Force Academy, propeller type aircraft.
And he was kind of a inspiration, motivation for you to join the Air Force, right?
Yeah. He's the one that talked me into going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really going to go. I didn't care. He always wanted to fly. I didn't care.
Right.
So, but anyway, he was such a good friend. He talked me into it. And so a lot of stories along that lines, but we finished at the academy, and we're assigned to pilot training bases, and we just both happened to be assigned to the same base at the same class at the same time.
Yeah.
So Rich had got married to Sarah, who was his high school sweetheart, and I knew very well.
Yeah.
And I was still a bachelor, and we went to training in Lubbock, Texas, and then we graduated at the top of our class. So we got to pick our airplanes. It was kind of like a draft pick.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I picked a fighter, and he picked an attack airplane. I picked an F-4 at the time. That's kind of all they had. And then he picked an A-10, which is a new attack airplane that was coming out back in those years. And interestingly enough, God was watching over us, because I got assigned to Luke Air Force Base in Arizona after going to fight our lead-in with Rich and Sarah in Alamogordo, New Mexico. So everybody went to a fighter lead-in class. We flew the AT-38 and started dropping bombs and doing fighter stuff instead of flying stuff.
Right.
And then we both went to Arizona. He went to Tucson, Arizona at a base called Davis Monthan, and I went to Phoenix, Arizona at a base called Luke Air Force Base. And we both ended up at the top of our classes. Me in the F-4 class, and he in the A-10 class. And then we were asked to be the student leaders of the graduating exercise, which is a big war game. Live weapons and adversaries, which were National Guard guys, and they set this big war up, and I got to brief it for the fighter guys providing air cover, and he got to brief the attack. And we talked on the phone because we knew each other so well.
Yeah.
Talked on the phone about how we were going to brief it and how we were going to set this thing up together. And we were very lucky to be at the top of our classes. So we went out and went on the big exercise and took off. And without taking you through the details of the missions, I heard him on the radio call in on a strike frequency. I heard him call in that he was rolling in on the target. He was coming on the target inbound, and we had to make sure that, the bad guys were not going to attack him, and we had to, there was a little bit of suppression going on, so
right,
he could.
You're flying support so that he.
Yeah,
could
I
run
was
the
overhead.
bombing mission.
I was overhead. Yeah,
Copy
I
that.
provided cover to clear.
Right.
To clear him to go in and hit the targets, which is a couple of columns of tanks. And he was going to strafe them, and I heard him call in, so I knew where to look because I knew where the target area was. And I looked down. I was pretty high altitude above him, and I looked down and saw a wing flash and saw him rolling in on the target. And then I looked up. I had to watch my radar. I had to clear for MiGs, or not MiGs, bad guys.
Yeah.
And then I glanced down. I saw him coming off target because I saw this tearing up of the ground with his GAU-8, a machine gun, which is a huge cannon. And he came off, and then the next thing I know, I looked up my radar, looked at the wingman, and was focused on my mission of coverage, air cover, and then I saw this out of peripheral part of my eye, I saw a fireball. And I looked down, and I could see that, and it was an airplane flipping around, and I called Mayday, Mayday, knock it off, stop the war. And it was Rich. He had come off the target to avoid the shrapnel set from the explosions, and his left wingtip, I found out afterward, had caught the top of a ridge line when he was trying to hide in the ridges from the enemies.
Yeah.
And he cartwheeled in. So we knocked off the battle. We all went home. We went north to Phoenix. His team went east to Tucson. And then when we landed, I knew, as soon as we landed and came into the squadron, I told him, I said, hey, my best friend, I think just died. Told my squadron commander. And I asked him, because I was a bachelor, I asked him if I could just hop in my car and drive to Tucson.
Yeah.
Because I knew his...
Because you knew Sarah.
Yeah, I knew Sarah. It was my girlfriend. She was very close.
Yeah.
We were all very close.
Of course.
So we went down, and I was 22, maybe?
23?
23 or 24, let's see. Yeah, probably 23, 24 after pilot training, fighter training, and by the time I was there, and we were ready to graduate, so I was probably around 24.
Yeah. Just
and
from a previous podcast, I think that's...
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And so then... I got to meet the chaplain. I called his squadron commander, got his number before I left Phoenix, called him, talked to him, went with the the chaplain in, and we got to kind of brief how we were going to approach Sarah.
Yeah.
And, of course, when Sarah saw me, she seen me on weekends. I'd go down there on weekends and see him and her, it wasn't that far of a drive, but she saw me. But when she saw the chaplain standing behind me, I was in civilian clothes. The chaplain, though, was in his blues. And she just knew that something was up. And then I broke it to her. And I ended up going with her back to L.A., Los Angeles, where her parents were and his parents were. And went with her they talked on the phone, but I went with her to that rough time to be with her family and then his family. Yeah. Because his family knew me very well. So anyway, it was an accelerated life I was getting into, and it just forced me to grow up really early, right? Yeah. And deal with that. And then it kind of reminded me that the profession I was in was a profession of
high stakes.
Yeah, high stakes, high risk, microseconds or milliseconds. Yeah, because you're going at 500 knots. That's pretty fast.
Just
and
then the tip of the wing clipped the edge.
Yeah, that's all it did.
That's
so
all it was.
It's a high risk business I was in, right? So at 24 years old, I knew this was very small margins of error. So
very sobering for a young man.
Yeah.
Very sobering.
So I mean, he wasn't the last friend that I lost, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
But he it was pretty early in your life, so it kind of made me pay really close attention to what I was doing. Yeah, so it was a reminder I never forgot, and I think it, whatever Rich left behind, his part in me, I think, kept me alive for all those years and all the operations I was in.
Watching over you, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so.
Still with you.
I think so. Watched after Sarah. She got another Academy grad husband in the class behind me, and he just passed away this past year in Florida. So we've kept in contact. I know her kids. I followed her. Yeah. A friend of mine, the best man at my wedding, he ended up having a friend of his date her, and they got married. So anyway, all in the Air Force and everything. So it's all worked out in the end. Yeah. She's got a nice family. She's got good support. Right. She met a husband who's a great guy too. Yeah. But every time we go to a reunion at the Air Force Academy, we stop by his grave. I mean, we buried him at the Air Force Academy. I was there. They did the flyover from the A-10s that came all the way up from Tucson.
The plane he used to fly.
Yeah. Yeah. They did a nice flyover. So that was early shaping incident in my life.
I've lost a friend as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was not as noble of a situation. Mm-hmm. We kind of saw it coming, unfortunately, but I can empathize to a degree of what it feels like to lose somebody that you care about.
Yeah, so. But it's all for the good, because I think he probably ended up saving my life many times, because I was really paying attention when I got low and fast.
Yeah,
so
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm just going to read through your illustrious 33-year Air Force military career, just so that we can kind of get everything out on paper, and then I want to kind of drill in, if that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, make it fast.
So so you've ran 4 assignments in Europe. You've ran 4 assignments in the Pacific. Mm-hmm. You were engaged in combat and hostilities in Operations Desert Storm and Provide Comfort. Mm-hmm. You then commanded an operations group in the Pacific, a wing in Europe, an expeditionary wing during hostilities in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and you were stationed at the Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada as the commander there. I
was a Warfare Center, Air Force Warfare Center commander. Yep.
What are some major, pun intended, takeaways of your time in the 33 years that you served in the United States Air Force?
Well, I think I was lucky enough to be on the shoulders of other great Americans, and I got more credit than I probably deserved.
What makes you say that?
Well, because our country, our citizens come from various backgrounds, different countries, different races, different sexes.
Melting pot.
Yeah, it's a melting pot, and it, in all my experience, most of it was overseas. All the allies and all of the locals really respected America because we were more inclusive. We were natural. around other countries. We were always open-minded, and the freedoms that we have and our Constitution gives us a wonderful opportunity to learn. And then in that experience, you kind of by default become the leader, not just because you're from a superpower, but because you have good listening skills. You have people that are in your organization. Like in Desert Storm, one of the guys named Ali, his mom was Turkish and his dad was American, So he flew out of Turkey. He didn't get to fly. So he had to stay on the ground to be diplomatic with to ensure we had local support, right?
Absolutely.
And we had Saudis and squadrons, and we had all sorts of different backgrounds. And when I was in Asia, we had Japanese Americans and Korean Americans, and it makes it so much easier that for other people to follow you, And so wherever you are in the world, there's probably an American in your organization somewhere whose parents are, he descended from those people and came to America. And so that's a great opportunity and a blessing. So 33 years of this, spending most of my time overseas, that comes to mind. The other thing that comes to mind, I think, is amazing people, especially as I got older, younger people. They used to amaze me how strong our airmen are, and the Marines, and I had a lot of joint jobs too. So just a lifestyle of tremendous achievement, accelerated achievement, driven by the absolute trust that you could count on Americans to do the right thing. And so it was a real blessing, I think, and an honor for me to serve those people that served under me.
And we thank you for your service.
And I learned a lot from, of course, great leaders and great mentors.
You have a really good take on leadership. You were discussing you used to fly in training with was it Vietnam fighters?
Yeah, Vietnam veterans.
And they were just ruthless,
right?
And they kind of beat on you, right? And then your take on compassionate leadership, I thought was really compelling.
Yeah, they had a real hard time, right? Because they served in Vietnam, and some of them served several tours in Vietnam. Several of them have been shot down and got up again. And the war ended pretty bad for them. They were not welcomed back into this country after all they had given and all the friends that they had lost.
Yeah.
And so there was a bitterness there, and there was I recall them because they were my instructor pilots. I mean, I'm the generation behind them. And they were hard flying, excellent pilots, but they were heavy drinkers and they smoked and all this other. They were from that, and there was a resolve to them that not from bitterness or betrayal, but there was a resolve for them to never put the United States Air Force or their follow-on generation, their protégés, never get in a position where your country won't welcome you back. In other words, you better win, and so they were ruthless in the air. I mean, they were foul-mouthed, lethal, hard-pressing guys. And I tell you, I would never have been the pilot that I became or my generation became without that generation pushing us. Right. And I don't know that they would have pushed us had they not gone through that experience. And as a result, you have, this thing that people talk about, shock and awe and Desert Storm and all that other stuff. It really, there was a resolve there to be dominant and to be lethal.
They say hard times make strong men.
Yeah, I think that was the case. I stumbled in, my generation stumbled into that too. And so I had another blessing.
Well, you've also, actually, I'd like to talk just a little bit about, before we move on from the military service, the compassionate leadership conversation that you had. I really liked your take of, they taught you what not to do as a leader. You lead by example. You lead by vibing with the people that you are beneath you to really understand them and lift them up in a way that is not a punch down, not to toughen them up in that way, but to really
right. Yeah. So let's see. I think that leading by example, right, and having a passion for self-improvement, having an insatiable appetite to learn and to improve. And I think in any competitive arena, whether it's, I don't know, the NFL or sports or business, if you have a passion to be your very best and to learn, and you learn by listening and understanding and being empathetic and compassionate, to understand, then you have high standards, personal standards and ethical standards, then you tend to be more successful. And I don't care whether it's a time where my wife and I, when I was commanding the biggest wing in NATO, would get up at 6 every morning and walk around the base picking up trash. And people are going to work and they're seeing me and her out there, and they all know who we are. Doing that, all of a sudden the base got picked up. You couldn't find a cigarette butt on that base.
The leading by example there.
Didn't have to give an order, didn't have to say anything. So I mean, that's just one small example. And so it's not just me, it's, I think, a lot in my generation learned that. And that allows the people absolutely trust you. And you're being a good example for them, because all you want is each one of them to be better than you.
Right.
And so create the opportunity for them to succeed better than you. Have to learn everything you have to give, and they will, in the next generation, be better than you. And that's kind of a pass-on sort of thing through the generations. And that's what I, in a short way, or at least one vignette, this notion of compassionate leadership. Connect with your people.
I love that. Passing the torch forward. Passing the torch forward, and trusting the future generations to take it and run with it, and to evolve and grow. Right. I'm going to take a brief moment here to go let Scooby in.
Okay.
We'll cut. I'll edit
no
this.
Problem. No problem. No problem.
Okay. We're back.
Right.
So you've mentioned before in passing that government bureaucrats you've encountered see elected officials as temporary hires to a degree. Maybe as a foundation for the deep state, as it's called. What's your take on that?
Well, I had a couple assignments to the Pentagon. And I had, in those assignments, I got to go to Congress quite a bit to testify or to support testimony. And so I spent a good deal of time in D.C. And it was my experience there as a uniformed guy. I would come in for allegedly a 4-year assignment. I don't think I lasted beyond about 2.5 before I anxiously went back to the field and operational flying.
Of course,
Of course. But in my experience there are people that grow up through the systems. They're called government service employees or civil employees. Some of them are tried military. Some of them are people that were politically appointed and just stayed because they liked it. And some of them were the higher echelon guys are the ones that are appointed by whatever administration wins to come in over us. And so both the military guys, I don't care whether they're generals, chiefs of staff, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, but the uniformed guys, they only last about 4 years.
Right.
And then they move on to another assignment, right? Sometimes they move within the building. They'll become, say, from the vice chief to the chief, or a deputy something to the lead. But most of them leave, and go to the field, right? So if you're a government civilian employee, then if you have a general or a colonel that you don't like, and you're working for him because he's appointed over you, or you have an administration appointee, some of which are confirmed by Congress, and you don't like them, then you can, because you know the system, because you've been there the longest, you can outweight them. Or you can try to preserve your power, I'll just say.
I see.
And allow that person to move on until you get someone over you that's more favorable to your way of thinking or your understanding of how the system works.
It just makes me feel like my vote doesn't matter as much.
Well, it does, because sometimes people that are in higher ranks, whether in uniform or out of uniform, in DOD or in the intelligence agencies, they're pretty smart. And they're pretty quick studies, and they can pick up when they're being buffaloed, or when things are moving like they've kind of ordered them or asked that they be moved, right? So it is, but over time, you get a lot of experience in one specific area from government, civilian employees, and sometimes even contractors, right? So they've been in a building. I mean, when I went when I was a young colonel, and then I went back 8 years later as a 2-star. And because some of the same people were still in the same offices, and they'd been through a couple of administrations, and they'd been through a handful of generals, So, in my opinion, if you've had 2 or 3 assignments in the Pentagon, by your 3rd assignment or 2nd assignment, you're starting to figure out how to get things done, even if you're in a uniform and they know you're going to pass through. So I think there are a lot of people who are dedicated to serving the people of this country and serving their mission in a selfless way. There are a lot of them in, I'll just say, the Pentagon, right? But there are some who are more interested, in my opinion, in their own power or in empowering and keeping the relationships with the clique that they're part of, right?
Yeah.
So it's just human nature.
Of course.
It's human. Any big organization. It's the same thing in industry. You get in a big organization like Lockheed Martin, which I was in. It's the same human phenomena. I don't care whether you're American or whether you're European or whether you're, some other country. You get in these big organizations or big bureaucracies. Then the desire for belonging and the desire for preserving power and leverage so you have a job tomorrow is a pretty powerful human nature.
It's tribalism. It's at the foundation of being human, I think.
Right. It comes from our tribal origins, and it always rears its head. So in different dimensions or different ways. So I don't have an animus to the deep state, but I have a lot of leeriness about it because of human nature.
Of course.
And I'm not picking on any organization. It's just human nature. And you have to have leaders, back to your leadership thing. Leaders that can understand it and have the political, professional courage to put it in its place, keep it in its place, or work it, try to work it out, or stay in that job long enough to get rid of some of the deadwood. Right?
Totally. And hopefully are compassionate at their core, right?
They listen to understand, because there's always, but over time, I think the good leaders are able to filter that stuff a little quicker and keep it in perspective. And that's what we hope will continue.
And it gives me some hope, is what I was going to say.
That's right.
So
there's hope. That's just another human large organization endeavor.
So speaking of large organizations, you mentioned Lockheed Martin. That's my next question.
Okay.
So after your 33-year Air Force career, you were brought on as an executive for about 5 to 6 years, you said.
Right.
What was it like working at Lockheed?
Well, I wanted him to teach me to be a businessman. I wasn't interested in running the F-35 program or F-22 program or any of the fighters. I've flown fighters for 33 years, so I knew that, and I always wanted to learn, right? So I wanted to learn how to be a businessman. So give me some responsibilities in something other than fighters. And teach me not only in a new area of expertise, but also in this civilian business world. Right? So they were very gracious, and I also gave them I said, I'm from the West. I'm from Montana. I live out west. And so I'm not doing the Beltway. I'm not doing the East Coast. Rockies are west. So they gave me Denver. So
Awesome.
So I went there. I learned about space. I learned about
Cool.
intelligence and reconnaissance. I learned about command and control. And so I got into a lot of the command control, which I knew a good amount about from the military side. But I got more into the engineering and the tech and the science and the skunk works out in Palmdale. And
which is, as we shift into the UAP realm, that's a big topic of conversation, skunk works.
Yeah, and then, so I was very fortunate in having organizations in Melbourne, Florida, Phoenix, or Goodyear, Arizona, near Philadelphia, San Diego, Denver. So places around that I would go visit and learn from so many people. And Lockheed was very good to me.
Awesome.
That I learned a lot from them. I also learned the culture was different. And
More
so
business focused.
Yeah. Business focus.
Quarterly profits.
Hit the numbers. Hit the quarter points. And if it's more of a sink or swim,
Yeah.
And it's easier for them to fire people than it is to get them fired in a government job, right?
Oh, for
like
sure.
the Air Force.
Yeah.
There's a lot of paperwork to do. There's a lot of process.
Gotcha.
And so, and being in management, that was, I learned a lot. I discerned a difference between people from the military culture and people from the business culture, even if it was defense industry. So it was very educational. People were
Absolutely.
good. They were fine to me. But after 6 years, I think I figured it out and decided that I would try to do some of this new business on my own. So.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you about your new business in a bit. If we can shift gears a little bit, I'd like to go into our UAP and Non-Human Intelligence section, NHI.
Sure. I mean, when I left Lockheed, I lost my clearances, right?
Totally.
So
that's good to know for everybody watching. Just that was 2016. You said was
right around then. I lost my clearances. I had very high clearances, probably the highest clearances in 2009 when I retired from the Air Force.
That's exciting for me to hear.
And then less, I still had clearances, pretty good clearances, but not some of the SAP SAR programs that I had in the military. So I date myself.
SAP being a special access program. And then a SAR is what's that? Special?
I've almost forgotten
something
what it is.
similar, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Your impressive military career and executive status with Lockheed earned you these security clearances. Is there anything just off the bat related to UAP or NHI that you can share?
With Lockheed or with the Air Force?
Both. Yeah. Maybe Air Force first.
I could share what little I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad to share it. I mean, there's no super secret stuff that still might have a shelf life.
There's so much public facing UAP disclosure happening.
Right.
That's why I feel like it is hopefully safe for you to talk about.
Yeah, no, I don't feel uncomfortable with anything I'm about to say.
Awesome. What military wise, what can you tell me about UAPs?
Well, first of all, I've never personally seen one. I mean, the closest I've come is flying a lot of times at night up over the North Pole and watching the Aurora Borealis and getting distracted by that.
Yeah, I would too.
That's probably the most surreal, space-like experience.
It was really strong last summer here.
I saw it down here, even at this latitude, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. But I never saw a UAP in all my flying time.
Do you know anybody who saw UAP?
I don't know anybody directly
that
saw anything like that. And like the guys that testified on the Hill a few years ago,
Commander Fravor and Ryan Graves.
There was not a
method to report.
Yeah, a method to formally report and document
Right.
or release your tapes or your gun film or whatever it is.
Totally.
To them. There was, I mean, we were focused so much on the mission
Right.
that if we saw something out of the corner of our eye and we're in a big dogfight,
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to pay much attention to it because we got a mission to do.
Survival.
Right? So you're focusing on the mission when you're flying, whether it's air to air, air to ground, air to sea, whatever. So you're really focused, and if you see something out of the corner of your eye, you know, you may not even have time to look over and stare and look around for it, right? Because there's just so much stuff's happening so quick.
I can only imagine.
So, you know, guys usually didn't know if they unless they had extra gas and they were en route coming home, they finished their missions, they're probably not going to chase it.
Yeah.
You know, they're probably not going to go knock it off and do it unless it becomes a safety of flight thing, like it blows right through the formation. Then you say, hey, we have a safety of flight issue. Then you can terminate the mission and see what's going on. But
totally,
I never had that happen in any of my time personally.
That's what Ryan Graves. That's his whole angle. He's now he's starting what's called ASA, which is Americans for Safer Aerospace, and it's a private company that he's tracking and documenting different UAP because they had a bunch of near incursions off the coast of Virginia.
Yeah,
while they were doing training
Oceana,
missions.
when he was flying out of Oceana.
Yeah.
I know, flown out of there too, and flown in an F-18 too.
Yeah,
but,
I've met him actually briefly at a conference.
You? Yeah, cool.
Really smart guy.
Yeah. Well, he's a Navy fighter pilot. He's got to have some wits about him. I think that I did briefly watch those that congressional ceremony. Yeah, that was the whole thing, but
2023.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What I'll say is I never knew anybody that personally saw anything that they would talk about.
Sure.
I never asked anybody, hey, have you seen any UFOs?
Right.
I was just too busy in my craft and in my profession to focus on the mission, right? And
you were achieving to the highest degree.
Well,
I
was focused. I wasn't browsing, right? So, and I don't think anybody else in my profession had much time to browse unless, like he did and the other guy with the TikTok, it became a concern about safety of flight, or he was committed to go investigate by the Princeton or whatever the command and control authority was, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So I mean the closest I came was at Nellis when I was out as a test pilot, and I was checking out an airplane that engine had caught fire, and they fixed it, and I was up, and I got called by a Area 51 guy, and I went in and did an intercept on it, and it was a Cessna that was lost. The guy was lost, and he was flying into Area 51, so I had to
UFO resolved.
I had to turn him around with an F-16, but that's the closest I came to. I wonder what this is that they're giving me vectors to intercept, right?
And you were quickly given an answer.
Yeah,
But
I
it
was
was
just
just a
Cessna.
Cessna.
I shoot the guy out of the area.
Yeah.
But basically, so no, I didn't. In the air, I never saw anybody. Don't know of anybody that saw anything.
Yeah.
And when I listened in the testimony of these two guys talking, the two fighter pilots, it sounds feasible to me. When I saw the film of the Tic Tac, I said, no wonder.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, and I know they blocked out a lot of at least the version I saw on YouTube or whatever, they blocked out a lot of the radar data and everything else to determine the speeds and the vectors and everything else.
Yeah.
But just watching it on his HUD, on his TD box and his visual display, you can tell if you've been an aviator or a fighter pilot for a while, that is not normal. It can't move that fast. It can't turn the direction that fast.
Yeah, and it moved from like when he first encountered it, it shot off to his next cap point.
Yeah.
His next pre-planned flight path. How would it have known that?
I don't know if it's coincidence or calculated, or if it's been observing it, or if it, how it knew. But all I'm saying is those guys our fighter pilots. They're focused on mission, and if
Right.
they're seeing something that's a safety of flight vector, or that
Yeah.
they've been vectored to explore by some command authority,
Yeah.
where they're focused on finding it and looking at it, I believe those guys.
Yeah.
They're fighter pilots. I've flown with them enough. There's no reason for them
To lie.
To lie.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, we finally released some film.
Totally.
And so I'm a believer that that was a credible report, and that nothing we have or that we can anticipate having in the short term, at least,
Yeah.
can come close to what was witnessed, at least on that film. So I have no reason to not believe that those aren't real.
Well, thank you for lending your credibility to those cases. It's really fascinating for me. I think what's really cool is that now we have ARROW, which is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office.
Yeah.
And that is
I know about that.
For,
started in 2023, I think it did.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. And it's a pathway for pilots to report it.
Right.
So now there is
Commercial or military.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been on the site before.
Oh, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about time.
It's about time.
We've done that from Project Blue Book and its predecessors.
Which is actually one of my other questions about. What do you know about these special access programs, historical, and the ATIP, OSAP, now ARROW?
Yeah, I think they've come a long way. I know Blue Book, I think, was shut down in '69 or something like that.
Right.
I remember reading about it when I was at the academy. I was a student and I was reading stuff, and I just caught my fancy. I didn't know that it was shut down in '69, and I, of course, wasn't at the academy till the '70s. But I read around about it, and I didn't have any classified clearances or anything else, so it was just more of a curiosity thing of why it wasn't kept going. But again, we were right in the middle of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Everybody's focused on that.
Right.
And but I'm glad they resurrected something like you just mentioned in the current office that's running. And I've been on the website, and it looks like they're posting FOIA responses. There's a place where you can go and fill in your report and send it to, and they have teams that are looking at these case files. And I think with the current administration, I know Tulsi Gabbard is very interested in disclosing.
She just came out on a podcast and said she believes that aliens are real.
Yeah.
That was her take.
Well, I don't know if they're aliens, but there's some phenomenon out there.
Non-human intelligence.
Non-human, besides AI, non-human intelligence.
Right.
Yeah, so she, like I said before, if that fighter pilot, and that's his film, and that's a Tic Tac, I've been in enough F-18s and enough cockpits to say that is not normal. We cannot replicate that. I've never seen anything like that. So
fascinating.
So or the cube that was seen off of Oceania.
Right.
Or
a sphere with a black cube inside it. Yeah. So crazy.
Yeah. So, if those guys are testifying that they saw it.
Under oath. Under oath to Congress.
Under oath, yeah.
Under oath.
So I'm like Tulsi. I'm not knowledgeable enough now with my dated clearances to see that, but there's enough evidence coming out with our advances in technology to where we can start maybe sensing and seeing. Everybody's got a phone, so it's almost ubiquitous, and then our airplanes have more sensors on them nowadays. And so it's natural that if these are recurring activities, that we would start seeing and recording and analyzing them more than historically in the past when we didn't have this technology, right? So it's an exciting age, and I'm very, very glad that this administration, not only Tulsi Gabbard, but the Vice President, J.D. Vance, is I thought I heard him say the word obsessed with them.
Yeah, he just came out also on a podcast.
And Trump, President Trump, wants to disclose. His administration is...
Mr. President, please disclose, please.
Well, there's momentum and indications in this administration, not only for UFO, but opening the JFK files.
JFK, MLK. He just did MLK, didn't he? Didn't
yes,
he just release
MLK,
MLK?
JFK.
Yeah.
An attempt to be transparent with the people. And
I
so
love that.
opening up all
Yeah.
of these formerly classified, perhaps overclassified things that American people are curious about and want
Yeah.
to know. And so to me, I think this attempt to disclose UAPs is consistent with an attempt to disclose all these other things that he promised in his campaign, I think, to do this. And looks like his staff or his administration is doing that. And I believe that website and Arlo or whatever it is, the one that's open, is allowing people to report this stuff without any
judgment or
judgment.
discredit.
Yeah,
like
discrediting.
Project
It's kind of
Blue,
like opening up to
cultural acceptance.
Anybody can be a whistleblower.
Yeah,
bring it all on.
Oh, right, and whistleblower protections along with it. Yeah,
right. And so I think that's a good positive. I think one of the foundations, most important foundations of our country, is transparency and accountability to serve the people.
I agree.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so now I will say, having been in the life I've been in, that there are thoughtful, if you have some data, and there's a process, a thoughtful process about that you should go through, I think, to release it. I mean, since you just don't get anything that you get off of, Popular Mechanics and splash it in there, right?
Right.
It has to go through an analytical process.
Right.
And then part of that analytical process isn't just, is the tape valid? Have the physicists look at it, have the astronomers looked at it, have all the experts, the technical experts looked at it.
Peer reviewed, so to speak.
Yeah, peer reviewed. Not to slow it down, but there is a decision that needs to be made that thinks through, okay, if release this, then what? Okay. And so you need to have that discussion in government with clearances that have access to all that information that John Q. Public doesn't, right?
Right.
But these are citizens that are making that with clearances that are making these decisions. So it's important to discuss, okay, if we release this, then what are the consequences of doing that?
Right. And protecting national security interests.
National security is one of them. I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
But also there is a compelling need to be accountable to serve the people of this country, and they have a right to know unless you got a darn good reason for not doing it. And so in the national security realm, which I have spent so many years in, there is, I'll just pull one vignette out of that, and that is that you have to be considered and thoughtful about when you do this, how you do this, anticipate what might happen, be ready for what might happen, and what might not happen. And so, there is a concern, I think. One of the things that national security experts, to include DOD, is concerned about is protecting the people of this country and maintaining the peace, right?
Ontological shock, so to speak.
Well, I'm not so concerned about that.
Okay.
What I'm concerned about is more national security related. For example, if we find out something in this, that is information that maybe potential adversaries find out we have.
Right.
Then there's a certain amount of benevolent ambiguity that has a deterrent effect on them misbehaving.
Yes.
On the other hand, you can't overpromise and underdeliver. So you have to be very measured.
Right. You don't want to give your poker hand away.
Yeah.
War games to a degree is a little bit of poker, and you're just trying to from what I understand.
You have to be thoughtful.
You have to be
thoughtful about doing it. And this isn't going to slow things down for months or years. It's just you need to have that the right people in the room discussing responsibly their obligation to be transparent with the people of this country.
Right.
However, they have a greater obligation to protect the freedoms and protect this country, right?
Right.
And so if there's a national security related dimension to whatever data you have, then you have to think that through and say, we have to make sure we maintain the deterrence of bad actors that might put this nation at risk. So that's a long-winded way of saying basically, yes, transparency is good, but when you have something that's national security related, you have to be thoughtful and just, we call it murder boarded a little bit, just go through the potential outcomes or perceptions that it could create. Think about the national security consequences. And if it's still low risk, but if it becomes high risk, then you may hold a part of it back, or at least a dimension of it back, but you can release the other stuff. So
absolutely,
I think the attitude, at least when I was in, was release as much as possible. And but it may not be prudent to release it all, at least at this particular time, because I've got a good reason for that, right? And then you make that collective decision, or you escalate it up to the commander-in-chief, and the president makes a decision. But this administration, this president, wants to come clean, I think, and tell as much as we can, prudently tell as quick as we can. And he made that campaign promise, and it sounds like his administration is equally up to it in this particular issue. I mean, Vance is obsessed with it, and Tulsi Gabbard is a believer, and I have no reason to not believe those fighter pilots.
This sounds to me like what they call slow disclosure, slowly unveiling it. And I think what I'm hearing is that the best way to do it is to balance the people deserve to know, are we alone in the universe? They deserve to know the truth of reality, while also balancing the interests of national security and not giving away too much of our technology that adversaries might
or whatever we've learned from this that might be give us an asymmetric advantage.
That's a really interesting so is this reverse engineered stuff, do you is the military working on reverse engineered?
I have no knowledge of that. I have no knowledge of that. All I'm saying is that as an American citizen, a retired guy, and I'm just a citizen now, of course, just one citizen, saying I want to know everything that you can responsibly release, and if you don't release it all, you should have a good national security reason why, not a political reason why, but a national security reason why. And it ought to be an interagency decision, right? Not just something that one person says, right? So because we're serving the American people. That's
such a respectful take, because you're respecting both the institution and the people. I think that's awesome.
It's a balancing act, right?
Do you just point blank, do you think we are alone in the universe? Do you think there are non-human?
No. I mean, I don't know. Somebody produced that Tic Tac and that cube, right? And with those kind of unprecedented capabilities, from transitioning through mediums, whether it's space, air, water, sea, undersea.
USOs, unidentified submerged objects.
Or I believe, I've seen enough data. I mean, earlier in my life, when I hadn't seen that data, I hadn't heard that testimony, and hadn't personally witnessed anything like that, I was pretty skeptical.
Of course,
But seeing that stuff, and it doesn't surprise me that there would be other intelligent entities.
I find that incredibly exciting. Thank you for sharing that.
It seems logical to me.
Right? Kind of like, I remember you saying one time at Whiskey and Cigars, we're ants in an anthill, and they're studying us, maybe,
and watching the ant colony. So,
You once told me you've seen the wreckage from the famed 1976 Roswell crash.
It was, I think the Roswell thing occurred in the summer of 47.
Oh, 47, okay.
And all I saw was a special. I mean, there's enough cable TVs out there that you can drift onto something on Roswell, right?
It's kind of like the main one.
And, what I saw was a documentary on it that they had allegedly, at least according to this documentary, got onto a piece of magnesium alloy or something like that.
Magnesium bismuth, I've heard described.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a magnesium alloy, and it could sort of, it had properties.
You could
that
bend
allow,
and fold it,
and then it would
go back to its normal
original shape.
Yeah.
You know, so. But that's just, my source was not any classified thing that I had access to. It was I watched it.
I understand.
I watched it. So
Okay.
I did not personally see that, nor have any analysts or physicists demonstrate it to me. No.
Oh, okay.
I just saw it on documentary, so I don't know if it's real or not.
As a man of faith, how do you reconcile the ontology between God and the growing body of evidence that there are non-human intelligences?
I don't have any problem with that. I don't see any conflicts of interest or inconsistencies. I mean, if God is a creator of all things, right, and he created everything, and he created man in his image and likeness,
Right.
then there are very loose definitions of image and likeness, right? So another being can also be in his image and likeness too, and it doesn't have to be Homo sapiens, right? And
when we discover a new species of beetle, it's not an ontological shock, right? So if we discover another highly intelligent species, wouldn't that be just par for the course?
Yeah. I mean, I have nothing inconsistency. If he's the ultimate creator, then I have no problem accepting that there may be a more intelligent being than we are.
It's kind of exciting to me to think that.
Yeah. I mean, if they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like we talked about at Cigar and Whiskey that one day, is my sense is they're not a threat.
Right.
Because if they were a threat, they would have taken care of us thousands of years ago,
Absolutely.
probably. And they're kind of like an ant colony. So
this ant colony just developed nukes. Let's get rid of them. You know.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, there's literature out there that says that they have a particular interest in nuclear weapons, and so whether that's because they are tracking our progress or watching us mess with something that could destroy something that they care about more than us, or a source of energy or whatever else.
Interesting.
I take it back to my personal opinion. It's just an opinion. I mean, I don't study this stuff.
So a couple of things on the nukes or nuclear capabilities. They showed up. I've seen video footage in the Encounters documentary produced by Steven Spielberg. They these basically look like Foo Fighters. These glowing orange balls showed up at Fukushima.
Yeah, like orbs.
Yeah, orbs.
Yeah.
And then obviously there are reports of the Foo Fighters during World War II, which would have been, even it's to me, it's more evidence potentially of some very advanced non-human intelligence that they had this capability when we were fighting World War II level technology, and these things were spotted flying around. Another interesting thing, are you familiar with the private company called Skywatcher?
No, I think they're trying to communicate with NHI.
I think they're trying to catch one. They're trying to get one to land, and they call it a UAP dog whistle, and it emits a nuclear frequency, and they've got 9 different classifications of UAP at this point.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, sounds fascinating.
Call and response.
Yeah. I just noticed more of a curiosity to me that apparently the sightings tend to spike when there's a nuclear issue, right? And I'm to speculate from that coincidence, I'll call it, or apparent coincidence, that they may be interested in something that either that spikes their interest in either what the ant colony is going to do to it,
right,
or do with it,
right,
like destroy the ant colony,
or
is it something that they like to extract resources or information or something from? So, but that's entirely speculation.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to speculate.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think so? There's different hypotheses on non-human intelligence: extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional, and crypto-terrestrial. So extra-dimensional, obviously, is that these are beings that live in a higher dimensional reality than we do, and they punctuate down into our 3D plus time, so 4D space that we live in. Do you think that sounds? How plausible does that one sound to you? We'll start with the.
Well, I think just my very, very limited data, the TikTok and the cube and other sorts of recorded sensor data. If they can do that kind of physics that we can't even approach, then their ability to solve the time, space, distance continuum might be well within their grasp.
So that would support the extraterrestrial, that they can traverse. They can traverse extreme distances, and the theory is that they use anti-gravitic propulsion, which is essentially they're bending space-time, and so vast distances are less of an issue because you bend space-time together, and then you just travel over that tiny space, and then let it snap back.
I mean, we haven't seen that yet, but I mean, if they have technologies like we've seen, then they might be approaching that, or they may have it, or they may be on the way to doing that. So I mean, if you're talking about extraterrestrials coming from far away, very quickly, then they obviously have solved a time, distance, space continuum, or I would even talk about light waves and things like that.
What about light waves?
I mean, speed of light, and studying light's behavior, light's capability, and capitalizing on that for either movement or for I'll just say the word movement, right?
Okay.
So
it's fascinating.
I just I mean, I guess it's plausible from the limited information I have. Remember, I'm a history major. I'm not a physicist or a scientist.
Right. Well, you're incredibly intelligent. I mean, this is just for a cursory knowledge, this is really interesting stuff, Mike.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about, you were talking about extraterrestrials or
crypto-terrestrial. That they are.
Yeah, they could have been here. They could have been here for a long time.
That's what Gary Nolan believes. He's a Stanford scientist who's done a lot of work in the UAP space. Yeah. He thinks that they were always here.
Well, it intuitively makes sense to me that the planet's 4.5 billion years old.
Right.
We've been around for a couple 100,000 years, maybe.
Right.
And so there's, it's entirely plausible that some other beings have been here way before us on this planet and evolved over time.
Built the pyramids.
And
I'm just joking.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but
it's fun to joke
I mean, you could do a lot of excursions
speculation
from this, right? You could do a lot of excursions from this. But no, it's entirely feasible that they've developed so far beyond us that us Johnny-come-latelys are like that ant colony, right. and so they may be, I'll say, exploiting or generating resources that they need to continue their existence or their development or whatever that we haven't discovered yet.
Interesting.
Or maybe that we haven't can't even comprehend yet, right?
Right.
And if you make that hypothesis, then it better explains movements from space through air through sea, and the rapidity with which they show up and disappear.
Yes, right.
To
instantaneous acceleration being one of the hallmarks.
So I mean, just because if you believe that they do that, that doesn't solve where they came from. Right. They could come from extraterrestrial, like we said, time, space, light continuum.
Yeah.
or speed, or they could come from some part of our, I'll call it our planet, or in its atmosphere, or someplace closer. But
fascinating.
So I don't think we've nailed down origins or where they're coming from.
Right. Wow.
Not with that kind of demonstrated capabilities that we've captured on our primitive sensors.
So, and I don't want to put you in territory that might be,
I'm just John Q. Citizen now.
That's right.
I don't
You're
have
just
any
John Q.
classified
Citizen.
clearances.
Okay, well, I'm just going to come out and say it. Do you
Yeah.
think that part of this is either a disinformation campaign or a controlled information campaign to try to obfuscate advanced technology that our military possesses?
Yeah.
For the skeptics out there.
Yeah, I can't subscribe to that club. I don't believe, at least from my experience, remember, I retired in 2009, lots of clearances there, and then I worked for Lockheed till 2016, fewer clearances, but some clearances, and like you alluded to earlier, spent time in the Skunk Works, looking at what they did, spent time in Area 51, knowing all the testing that was going on there.
On UFO lore, that's like the Mecca.
Yeah, well, I honestly, I don't, from what I saw on the videos, I'm not aware, at least I'll say 2016 and earlier.
Yeah.
So that's 9 years ago. I'm not aware of any capability to reverse engineer that in a matter of 5 years.
Right.
Or when was it? 20? When did they see the TikTok? 20?
That was 2004.
Oh, 2004?
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even 25 years to try to reverse engineer that. If
Well, and
you
that's
have
assuming they
possession
have
of
it. That's assuming they have it at all.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I'm talking worst case. I mean, even if they did have it, I don't see, at least from what I saw in terms of our state of technology, that we could reverse engineer it and replicate it.
Yeah.
There's just so many complexities from the composition of the object to how it generates energy, how it moves, how it thinks, how it anticipates. I mean, that's just
it's a whole lot of house.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't believe we've reversed engineered one yet.
Ross Coulthart, he's a journalist for News Nation. He does a lot of UAP reporting. He says that he has a Lockheed Martin insider who said that he has an Australian accent. He said, Lockheed has the Tic Tac is reverse engineered technology developed by Lockheed Martin. What do you think about that?
I'm skeptical.
Skeptical? Wonderful.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in Skunk Works, but unless they started a new lab somewhere, I'm not aware of it. Let me just put it that way, and that makes me skeptical.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take this back to the Foo Fighters, just because we're talking about timelines here and timelines of reverse engineering. I mean, what do you think those were in World War II that were cited? These glowing balls of light, orange balls that were also seen at Fukushima, at the nuclear reactor meltdown. What do you think that was?
Well, I mean, from my limited attention on this subject, and apparently they are a class that have been probably here for a long time, right? And they tend to, as I said before, our increasing technologies and sensors, etc., and our presence, the persistence of our presence in our atmosphere and monitor and see, and so the proliferation of our sensors, whether it's a cell phone or a super satellite or whatever, are beginning to probably record and witness more of these events than any time in the ant colony's past. So my sense is that these, for some reason, want to proximate something that they find of interest.
And
right?
it's not our annihilation. They seem to be
Oh,
benevolent.
no.
Right?
Yeah, I like I've said before, they would have wiped us out a
Yeah.
long time ago if we were irritating them or interfering with something that they cared about, right?
Right. Well, something you said early in the conversation that really I haven't heard before is very curious. They might be looking for information of some kind.
No, they could. That
That's
could be. I don't
fascinating.
know. Well,
What kind of information would they be looking for?
Well, they could be looking for how the ants, where the ants are going next. They could be, I don't know, in their development path. They could be interested in some information or some knowledge that would align with their interest or their development path, right?
Interesting.
So, I mean, this is like all conceptual,
Of course.
all hypothetical.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, one person's opinion. But the orbs, if the orbs are a manner
Yeah.
in which they position themselves to witness or collect something of interest or even communicate,
Yeah.
then that's an interesting note, an interesting phenomenon that requires more analysis and pattern building.
Yeah.
And then from that begin to deduce potential hypothetical causality, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're just on the cusp of this. I mean, it's now that the disclosures are finally coming out, now that we have sensors that are getting better and better and better and more omnipresent, right?
Yeah.
So the collection is, the little ant colony is starting to collect.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
But we're collecting, and it's a curious path. I just caution that I have in my family, we have people that I love who are very imaginative, very creative.
Yes.
And really like ideation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And over the scar tissue I have from as many years as I've been on Earth and as much as I've seen, I say, no, we have to remain grounded.
Absolutely.
In the scientific method.
I appreciate that.
We can speculate, but we need evidence, right?
I appreciate that.
And we need the scientific method to begin to feel more comfortable that our hypothesis might be correct.
Yeah.
So, because I have grandkids that do this too, you know, and so we just have to make sure that we're confident that we stick to a process that's grounded in science. But I love the hypotheticals and the ideation because, I mean, there's plenty of
hypotheses.
Yeah, there's plenty of. I mean, that's how we discovered a lot.
That's how we discover everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to have the hypotheses out there, but then you have to be able to have enough data and information to put them through a rigorous and analytical process.
Yeah, and peer review, like you said, get more nodes of theoretical or scientific frameworks to look at it.
Yeah. Well, what I'm seeing, I'm not in this community. No, I'm not in the NHI community. But all I'm saying is that I am in the community that's very interested in the future of the species, right? And I want a better future for my grandkids, right? So I'm very interested in making sure that I leave this earth at least on a trajectory or a vector from the people I influence that is productive, right? And so I think that it's healthy, but the health should not be all over the map in terms of speculation and clicks.
There's a lot of, to use guy Jesse Michaels, he calls it mushy-brained UFOologists, you know, just speculating wildly.
Yeah, I have relatives in Montana that have, so, I mean, I love my family, but I mean, they're all over the world, and we just have to be grounded and reasoned in how we assess, analyze, and entertain the hypothetical possibilities and continue that quest without totally getting ungrounded and speculating here and speculating there and not basing it upon evidence, right?
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that to, you know, the highest degree because, you know, to full disclosure, my interest in this topic came from my own personal encounters with phenomenon that I can't explain. And I did fall into the UFO rabbit hole and it was overwhelming and then eventually very frustrating to have all of this, gurus, I'll call them UFO gurus who like they have all the answers. And
they
it's
can
like,
mislead you.
How do you possibly,
Right. Well, people that are that curious can be easily misled, and history is replete with people
useful
that were
idiots.
easily misled by ideologies.
Yeah. Like Paul Benowitz during the Project Blue Book, he was led, you know, to the CIA tapped his phone. Richard Doty tapped his phone and was beaming in fake communications from aliens to discredit the whole UFO topic.
Yeah. Well, I think in this case, I just say to this community, please ground yourself in solid evidence.
Yeah.
And don't believe some wizard in UAPs that has a huge following on TikTok or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
That, you know, we need to still, just like a good journalist, ask relevant, tough questions to keep the movement grounded, because the movement will succeed the more it's grounded in evidence and analysis, and holding the DOD and the Arlo website and that community and that organization accountable.
Yep.
And asking them tough questions.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be conferences and dialogues.
Yeah.
But stick to the evidence.
Stick to the evidence.
And
stay grounded.
Yes.
Stay grounded.
Yeah, exactly. Stay grounded, or there's too many fads in the human history that sometimes slow down progress because they got too untethered. I could give you several historical examples of people getting untethered because they weren't grounded. So if you want to succeed, take your time, do it right, follow the processes and analysis, a scientific method, gather the evidence, gather the data, show the trending in the data, get the discussion going versus I heard from a third source. I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that
speculating wildly.
Well, I have a friend of a friend that said some guy at Lockheed told me that, you know,
trust me, bro. Just trust me. That's what we say these days.
And and check your source. And does he have access to that information or that program?
What's his clearance level? He's not going to reveal his source because he's journalistically protecting the integrity of and that, Mike, that is my goal with this podcast is to be a platform for people like yourself who are highly credible to have meaningful discussions about this kind of stuff. And you know, we can speculate to a degree that is hypothesis generation, but not Zeta Reticuli grays come flying in on, you know, saucers and which, hey, could be true, but I don't know. I don't know. That's the most important thing is I don't know. And hopefully, you know, what we do know can be disseminated in that balanced way that will protect, you know, the people and our institutions.
Yeah. And I think the more credible you are, having spent a lot of time in DOD, the more credible you are to that organization, and you bring in, when you come up and identify yourself or you're speaking at a conference or whatever, the more credible you are with facts, analysis, data, like the TikTok video, whatever, the more credible you'll be, and the more collaborative I think DOD will be, because they sense credibility and responsibility in you versus somebody that's trying to have a bigger YouTube channel speculating, and he gets more clicks and more followers.
Clickbait, as we call it.
As opposed to credible with an agency that's responsible for telling the American public about this UAP phenomenon. And hold them accountable, but also you're not going to gain credibility with them unless you come forth as a credible source using data, because that's what they're doing.
Right.
They got their analytic method, they got their status, they've got access to more resources probably than John Q. Public professor has.
Yeah.
So you want to team with them, and you want to gain their respect.
Yeah.
Ask tough questions.
Yeah.
They'll respect you.
Yeah.
And they'll probably listen to you more if you try to build that relationship and yet ask good questions.
Thank you. That answers the final question in the UAP section, which is, what's your advice to humanity about this going forward? So I do want to mention that my take on where the UFO community is at is that we are tired of the gurus and the trust me bros, and we are looking for actual evidence. The comments that I see on really popular UAP pages, it's just replete with, where's the data? Where's the evidence?
Good.
Where is this coming from?
It's the right path.
We're done with the clickbait stuff.
Yeah.
We want real substantial evidence. And I think, hopefully this can be a bat signal for people who are ready to provide some more of those details in a controlled and safe way. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, it's interesting talking about this subject when I'm not that studied, and I know a little bit about it, but only enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be followed.
I love that. That's great. And I'm so glad that you won't be followed. That makes me feel good. That was my biggest goal in all of this, was to not put you or your family at risk. No men in black knocking at the door.
No, I'm okay. I mean, I just I want to leave this with a little bit of a dose of humility, because this is not an area of study that I have followed. It's just something that as I read and try to be an informed citizen of this country, I've come across it a little bit, enough to be dangerous, but not enough to. So I think the value I offered is just mostly from experience and intuition, and informed intuition, I guess.
And top secret security clearances.
Unfortunately, none of that really has helped here in this case.
Okay, so, gotcha. Yeah, so, well, that's okay. I didn't expect you to blow the lid on everything or put yourself in jeopardy. I'm going to steal my final question, just to kind of put a pin in this UAP non-human intelligence section. My favorite quote from both of the podcasts I listened to of yours was right at the beginning of the Pink Panther podcast. You said to new recruits, do the very best at everything you do. And I think that is the perfect thing to share with the UFO community. We just have to exude excellence. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. So that's, I think, where we'll leave that section of the podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you. I remember it was a while ago we did that podcast, and they asked me what I would tell new cadets at the Air Force Academy, right? And one of the things that probably the central thing I took away from that was the sort of the motto of the Air Force Academy. It's a little different than it is at West Point, but it fit an airman better. And it is integrity first, service above self, excellence in everything we do. So all I did was grab the last one to the new cadets, right? They will learn that integrity is key to any sort of credibility and respect, right? Yeah. And they're in a service, right? They're in the armed services, right? They're to serve the country, not themselves. Right. It's about the people of this country and its ideals. And then I just flipped out the excellence, everything, and I took that to heart when I was 18 years old, ever since, and tried to live my life by having high, impeccable integrity and then serving others. Now I'm in Rotary. I'm serving the community. I don't want any money. I got enough money. So it's all about serving, and then it's still trying to be excellent in everything that you try or you do. Just do your very best. And so that's how I distilled it all down into one line for those young cadets, those young
it's great.
18-year-olds,
It's
just
great.
coming in and saying,
And I'd
be
love-
best at everything you can be.
Yeah, and I'd love to ask a few questions about your personal life now, post. There's actually do I have time for a couple of other questions? I just thought of too.
I mean, I got plenty of water left.
Wonderful. All right. So one UAP question that I forgot to ask, and this ties back to, I believe you were either talking about the orbs or the Tic Tac, and you mentioned communication.
Mm-hmm.
Skywatcher, they do double-blind tests with not only the UAP dog whistle, which emits the frequency, their proprietary frequency, their tech company.
Mm-hmm.
They also use what they call psionics,
Mm-hmm.
which are government military assets that are psychic, men who stare at goats, Project Stargate kind of stuff. They allege that you can make communication or contact with UFOs, UAP via human consciousness, especially for those who are particularly gifted. Can you comment on that at all? Do you have any knowledge of it, or?
I don't have any personal knowledge of those psychic or spiritual skills. I mean, I've known people that were very perceptive. I think in my personal life, I have 3 daughters, and they can communicate without speaking. And I've learned that because I don't understand. I'm a male, right?
Yeah.
But it's like we used to call it ESP.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a game, and there's a team, it's amazing.
It was an advantage, right?
Oh yeah, they have a terrific advantage. I mean, if you try to play charades, forget it.
Yeah.
They make one move, they got the answer.
Yeah.
So there is something to do, and I deduce from that and from other things that I've read that there is something to this extra nonverbal,
Communication.
non-physical ability to communicate.
Yeah.
And if it's subconscious or conscious or spiritual or psychic,
Yep.
I believe that's possible. So I don't think it's a nothing burger. I don't know how refined or how capable it is. But if you're like this Skywatcher, and if you're shooting in the dark, you're just transmitting something out there, and you're mentally communicating something out there, or you're transmitting something along the electromagnetic spectrum, bursts, I'll call it, out there, that are purposefully designed and not just a broadcast, and hoping to get a response,
Tailored response.
Tailored response. Then these hypothetically, some of them may work. So I don't know. Now, if you're a businessman, you're looking at this Skywatcher, I don't know if it's a startup, and you're saying, okay, so
they've been around four years, I believe.
But you got to be cost effective in what you're doing and prioritize and do all that other stuff, or you'll find yourself bankrupt pretty quick.
Totally.
Unless you get donations in a community that you can follow you. But I know that I've also read somewhere, or maybe seen somewhere, that the government has, I'll just say, put bursts of communications out and into deep space, right? Not necessarily inner core, but deep space, or out in the atmosphere or whatever. So I know the government has programs like that, and have had programs like that, and I think NASA has some, and certainly the U.S. government has done things like that to try to communicate. I would try to get informed about that, because I'm not certain if it's still ongoing, or what degree of response they've got, or what degree of energy they're putting into it nowadays. But I know there have been activities where the U.S. government has explored in that area. Somewhat.
psychic communications to a degree. You gave me chills talking about this because my experiences started by sitting out in my backyard at night and doing this process that Stephen Greer calls CE5. I did a very uneducated version of it. I just heard somebody talk on a podcast about how they had what sound like Foo Fighter orbs show up by sitting in your backyard at night, meditating, and then beaming like a intentional love, like openness into the sky, into the night sky. So I started doing that back on Bainbridge Island, and I started to see things, little balls of light. And one time I came out of my garage late at night, and this really bright, I mean, I called it like a star, flew very low over the trees, directly over top of me, nestled itself in a cloud. I ran inside to go get my phone. I run back out, and it was gone. And so I'm looking over here, maybe to go over here, and I see it back in the cloud again. And I lift my phone up to film it, it zips off. And then 2 weeks after that, I had my main encounter where I saw glow at the same kind of...
So you're doing the same mental transmission?
That's right. Yeah. So, then I was on my way to a wedding. I had left way too late. It was in Bend, Oregon. I saw this glowing ball of light on the side of the road, out in a farm field on the California-Dallas freeway. This is like 30 minutes outside of Bend, or Redmond, which is just outside of Bend. And I had this intuition that I should pull over and get out of my car. I film it very briefly. It's just hovering there. And
so it apparently let you film it
briefly. Yeah, I have a 1 minute and 31 second video of it. I put my phone down. Some time passes. I don't know exactly how long, but it whips up and down in this horseshoe shape. I hear a audible thunk. It sounds like an axe hitting a tree trunk or something. Really sharp sound, and this flicker of light, and there's it looked to me like a humanoid light entity. It was made completely out of maybe energy or electricity or plasma. Had arms, legs, a head, torso, and it had a tether coming out of the top of its head, extending back into the bushes behind it. This was maybe 4 football fields away, I'd estimate distance-wise, because I've gone back to that site. And there was like this energy mist kind of flickering behind it, and a red light popped up and was hovering up above it. And I felt this...
You're 400 yards away from this thing? About?
4 football fields. Yeah, yes, 4, yes. And I felt this like beckoning, like come closer, come down the road, and I was way too afraid to fight, flight, or freeze, and I was frozen. I was too curious to leave, but I was too afraid to go down this dark road in the middle of the night. I feel like it then sent me some messages, 3 messages, and then I...
What messages?
Sure. The first message was sober up. I was on amphetamine medication for ADHD that was prescribed to me, and it was not doing well for me. So it was a very tailored, it came to me in a time that I needed to hear that message. Second message was have reverence for this. It wasn't like worship, but it was like and it wasn't words that I heard in my head. It was like all of a sudden I kind of received the data.
Yeah, the meaning.
Have reverence. And then the third thing, and this is the most interesting, the human ego has no place in all of this and what's to come. And then I mean, time kind of dilated a little bit. I remember cars were every now and then coming down the road, and I'd be cupping my eyes so I could...
So you were standing on the side of a road.
Yes.
And other cars were coming by.
And I was looking like, are you not seeing this? How is nobody, Yeah. Right.
That's why you're in CE5, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
I mean, from what I understand, just listening to you.
Yeah.
Because I don't study
I
this
have
stuff.
whatever that thing is, that psionic potentially.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's I don't know if it's spiritual, but it's focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Three
messages. Yeah.
3 messages.
3 messages. And then, time, I don't fully remember.
How did it terminate? How did that engagement end?
I left.
You just got in a car
I
and drove
got
away?
back in my car. I very distinctly remember, turning away, and closing the door and just hyperventilating. I had thought that I had hyperventilated in the past. Now I know that that's what real hyperventilation is like. I couldn't get oxygen. I was crying. It was completely, it was shock, pure shock.
Yeah, right.
And I remember looking out inside the car and looking out the window and still seeing it out there. And I just drove away. I didn't know what to do. It's like, what do I do?
Did you drive by it? Or just...
I should have driven down the road. I regret it every day.
You turned away.
I turned away and I just left.
Yeah.
I left.
Is that drawing behind you?
It's an artistic interpretation.
That's
of
what
it.
I figured.
Yeah, somebody painted it for me.
Yeah.
A woman named Deborah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my main.
Those
main
are the
encounter.
3 evidence or 3 encounters you had.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Were you thinking when you were driving to Bend?
Yeah.
Were you
yes
just trying to communicate while you were driving?
Yeah. And I thought I might have seen something on the way as well. Potentially flying alongside.
Yeah, so you were in the mind frame of trying to communicate peaceful thoughts.
Mike, at one point I was playing Starman by David Bowie. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our mind.
Yeah. Have you continued to do that? Because that happened. How many years ago?
That was 2023, September 16th, the morning of September 16th.
Okay. And how about your other two encounters?
One time I got back. I mean, there were some other weird things. I don't want to go.
Sure.
I'm actually working on a documentary to put this all together.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a time where. I went back to Bainbridge after that, and I'm out doing CE5 again, and I turn around and there's a blue light in the bushes. I have all this on my iPhone footage. There's a blue light, and you can hear me in the video, and I'm just filming it, and then at a certain point it turns red, changes from blue to red. And I go, oh, okay, you don't want to be filmed right now. I almost sound like I'm in a trance or something. I see. You're deciding. Okay, you don't want me to film anymore. I'll stop. I get closer to it. This next video, it's a 4-minute video, but only the beginning has any of the actual phenomenon in it. The top of it is blue, and the bottom of it is white. I think it's somehow split into 2 colors. I'm filming it, and then I pan the camera down, and I think I put the phone in my pocket as I'm getting closer to it. I get really close to it, and I'm seeing what looks to me like this floating oval. And it has multicolored shapes or energy on it, and it's hovering in the bushes. I film it, and the only thing that shows up is this very faint ball of just almost looks like camera noise, but it's a very concentrated ball, and you hear this sound. It's like a sizzling sound.
And you have that on film.
I have all that on film.
Good.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there's any channel to submit this to, people who might be curious and
well, what I would do is I would do your documentary with pack it with as much evidence as you can, like that ball,
right,
or anything else that you had a video of, right?
Yeah, I didn't film the entity. That kills me. It kills me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there may be, if you're continuing to try to do the CE5, you may. I would say that, if you want help from, say, that government organization, then you need to put an evidence-rich, evidence-rich story together.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the guidance. I really appreciate that.
That's, and I know you're in a dilemma. It seems to me you're on the horns of a dilemma in the sense that if you have a camera there and all of a sudden you're seeing an orb or an energy field or whatever the phenomenon is that is abnormal, then you want to continue the engagement and not risk terminating it because you raise your camera and it zaps away, right?
It almost seemed like it didn't want to be filmed at times, And like I got close to it in that Bainbridge encounter and it seemed to cloak itself to some degree. I mean, I was seeing something different than what was being filmed.
It was being filmed,
Which is like, what kind of technology is that?
Yeah, Well, I mean, you got to... like I said, you're on the horns of a dilemma. If you want evidence, you're going to have to film. Yeah. Even if it terminates the engagement. Right. So because you're never going to get the evidence.
Totally.
Unless you do that, right? And then the situation is are these engagements that you're having, are they personalized to you? Or are they just randomly crossing you? Yeah. Is it more than one entity?
That could have been my lottery jackpot, and I missed filming parts of it, unfortunately. Yeah. But
I mean,
I'd like to try to see if I can,
reconnect. I would assume. I mean, personally, I would think that it's important for you to get evidence if you're going to make any progress in this, and even if it unfortunately terminates what could have been a longer engagement. Okay. I mean, because it's all about evidence to me.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And to that end, these cameras that I have, they're like one of the best low light cameras you can buy. Great. To be able to film at night. So that's the,
you see them all at night, right? You don't see anything
during the day. No, I've never seen anything during the day. It's all been at night.
Yeah. 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 And you're not like really tired. I mean, just trying to ask the question.
Yeah, no, please. Yeah.
You're not really tired or, when these occur or because the medical people.
I don't think they're hallucinations. Yeah. No, the reason that I say that is that I filmed them,
if they're there in a film, then
they're there. Yeah. I was seeing something, you know.
But you're going to go through a litany of questions if you get to the government. Yeah. And they look at this documentary, they're going to probably call you up, have you in, or come here and meet you.
I would love that. I'm open to that.
But you need
evidence.
You got to have evidence.
I'm going to, for the documentary, the director's going to have me sit down and do a lie detector. We're going to do a psych evaluation as well, just to put all the cards all the information on the table, all the data.
Good.
Because, after this happened, I went through a period of ontological shock, and I fell into the UFO rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, it's aliens, and the thing that really helped me was grounding myself in science and data and, not wanting to sound like a kook.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not you, but I would say I need evidence if I'm going to push the ball down the field here for the humanity.
Of course.
It's not about me. It's about getting evidence and trying to use whatever good fortune I have of getting these things to approach me. Yeah. That I would exploit that, but I need the evidence. Sorry, or you probably already know. Yeah. But I need to do this.
Yeah, and that's the goal of the documentary is to format it in a really digestible way that people love to watch, but also has as much data as possible, and then. What we're doing now, is another evidence gathering medium. Yeah. And with that two-pronged approach, hoping to contribute something and,
Yeah.
and alchemize the experience and
Good.
turn it into something that could,
It's constructive. Yeah.
maybe change, how we understand reality or add to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, thank you for listening. I
Cool.
really appreciate the feedback, Mike.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Want you to be successful.
Thank you. So speaking of success, let's shift back to you, if we may, just kind of close out here.
All right.
What are you up to now? Oh wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. You spent 2 years working on an experimental craft.
Oh yeah.
Post Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
It was a
Stratospheric airship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, I was trying to swing for the fence.
Yeah.
After being in the Air Force and serving, and then having the privilege of hanging around a lot of the smartest technologists in aerospace industry at Lockheed and building relationships there. I ran across a really wealthy international banker who was introduced to me by a really distinguished technological guy that I had met.
Yeah.
And he connected us. He was a scientist kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he connected us. And this guy had a dream of building a technology that would not just make him a lot of money, but really profoundly affect a lot of humanity. And so the scientist guy brought him to me because I had the right connections at Lockheed. And he wanted to build a stratospheric airship that he could position over urban areas and put a lot of apertures on this thing in terms of a payload.
Oh, payload. Okay. Apertures.
Yeah.
I'm thinking cameras.
No, this would be a payload carried below a stratospheric airship that would stay up in the stratosphere, positioned over a city, and be able to move lots of data down to the ground. In other words, if you're sitting in, I don't know, a football stadium during a football game, and you want 5G service uninterrupted, undelayed, you'd have it with this thing, right? Because it would be able
like
to...
Super Starlink kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that.
Yeah.
So this thing is cheaper than satellites. It's at the time, it's cheaper than satellites, bigger than satellites, has more volume, and would blow away all the terrestrial providers like the Verizons, the AT&Ts, and everything. They couldn't compete with this.
So
because
really
of physics.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Revolutionary
And
technology.
you'd have ground stations to download all the data, and but you'd have ground stations, but this would be like a giant cell tower, a monstrous cell tower in space and near space, and you could disrupt the provider market and move data up and down. So, and lots of data. And so we built the architecture for this thing, and I knew the scientists in Lockheed Martin and the technology guys in Lockheed Martin that could make this happen, because there's some payloads, I'll call them, that are classified that have this power, right?
Oh,
and so,
interesting. Okay.
So anyway,
cool.
We tried to do it. We signed a contract with Lockheed to be our sub. We were the startup that would be the prime, right? And we just weren't able to raise enough money. Now, we had at Lockheed, when I was at Lockheed, and one of the businesses I was associated with was a thing called PTIDS. PTIDS was the aerostat that we put over our forward operating bases in Afghanistan. And it was like a balloon that went up in the sky, and it had cameras on it, and we could see all the Taliban or whoever around us, and we could watch the villages around the base, and it was a protection of the base. And then we had, of course, artillery and mortars and everything, fire control systems that to protect the base. So if we ever got attacked, it would be pretty good defense, right?
Yeah.
And this was the eye, the unblinking eye.
Cool.
Right?
The Eye of
in the sky.
Sauron.
And so we had these all over Afghanistan, and
Yeah.
I was associated with that business. And I knew the lead technologists that were doing that work. And we had an attempt, it's on YouTube somewhere, I think.
I'll find it.
I haven't
Maybe
looked
I'll
at
cut
it. It's
to
a
it.
high altitude airship. HAA.
I'll find the
HAA.
clip. I'll play the
just
clip.
Google it up or whatever.
Yeah, I'll cut it into our podcast.
It was a Lockheed Martin high altitude airship, and we had a
Cool.
test flight for it. And it went up. It was to go into the stratosphere and stay up there as a proof of concept. It was much smaller than the operational ship that we were going to build in this company. And it had a pretty successful flight. It crashed when it came down, but we knew why it crashed.
Okay.
And so we figured if we could do it, and we
Yeah.
pulled the whole team that did that into this program as Lockheed Martin technical team supporting our concept, our business concept, our business plan, right?
Right.
But the bottom line was we couldn't raise enough money to be able to build prototypes and full-scale prototypes and to lay the infrastructure to build a production line.
I mean, it
of
sounds
these
like
things.
a monumental task.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
It needed a lot of money. And we
That's exciting.
went around getting money, but we couldn't get enough. Yeah. And I think it was God's way of telling us, nice try. But,
yeah.
I mean, at the same time, in parallel, Elon Musk is coming up with Starlink. And there were advances in satellite technology and cost reductions in launches with retrievable rockets, etc. So I don't know that we would have ever competed with Elon Musk. It was sort of a parallel thing, but now he has enough satellites in Starlink to where he's very flexible, where he can do that. Yeah. And we would have had to take off an airship, park it over Tokyo, and then, run on solar panels and stuff like that. And we had some other power systems. And then eventually we would have to bring that thing down and repair it and fly another one off to relieve it in place, and then so you're talking about a huge fleet of these. Kind of reminded me of the von Hindenburg, the Zeppelins and stuff like this. So it's kind of a modern Zeppelin, except this one is in near space. It's 65,000 to 70,000 feet up.
So it had some design features that were like similar morphologically to a Zeppelin, like a blimp.
Yeah, it was like it was as big as an aircraft carrier.
Okay, see, I was imagining
So
like
it's pretty big.
I was imagining, in the Avengers, how Nick Fury he flies around in the airship, that giant. It's basically a drone aircraft carrier.
Yeah. Well, this was unmanned, obviously, and but it was a business. We were trying to beat the terrestrial communication giants. Yeah. And say we'll do this with imagination and our knowledge of aerospace and Lockheed Martin's knowledge of aerospace and this high altitude airship that although it crashed, we know why it crashed, and now we can go bigger and we have a business case. Yeah. Because Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they make a lot of money, and we could kind of put them out of business by doing this. But we were more persistent in terms of staying overhead, whereas the Starlink constellation now can do a lot of that stuff if they want to. But see, we would be persistently present over every major city, moving all that data in a very congested way. So it's still the concept of operation was still pretty good. I think we just couldn't raise enough money to get a couple ships up there to prove to everybody what this was cool, and then we'd have to we just couldn't raise enough money. So
if you guys pulled it off, I mean, I feel like you could have potentially been in contest for one of the richest men in the world. Seriously.
Well, it was a lot of money. Yeah. But you had to raise a lot of money to make a lot of money, and it didn't work. I think after about 3 years, about 3 years, I finally said, we're not getting enough money, and the rich guy who was the owner, really, I was kind of running all the operations and designing the bases,
using your expertise,
the materials and everything like that,
Hmm.
and getting it into space, getting it down, replacing them in place, and how do you replace them? How can you refuel them? Can you, stuff like that, and so which is good. The bottom line was it wasn't his fault. It's just we needed a lot more money to be able to afford Lockheed to build this thing this big, So but you can look up high altitude airship. But it was launched out of Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
Way back when.
Yeah, I'll dig it up. I'll insert it into the show so people get a taste of it.
It's more than 300 meters long, and so it's a pretty big structure. It can certainly hold two of the operational size airships if you want to rebuild them. You can see in the background we do have some tethered aerostats. We had a very small window of opportunity, hence we exited the air dock at about 4 a.m. and did all the pre-flight prep, and we're set to launch as soon as the first beam of sunlight officially came over the horizon. The system was released, again, this was done on a fairly limited budget overall, with participation both from the U.S. Army as well as from Lockheed Martin. Launch, even though it looks a little dangerous, was as prescribed, fairly high angle of attack on takeoff. System ascended as predicted, and was able to get up to an ever-increasing altitude. So I'll get through that. Unfortunately, we didn't get to where we wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that you need to brag about that. It was a good idea, a good try, but we just couldn't get the money to do it. So.
Well, since then, you've become, as you jokingly called it, unemployed. I would like to call it healthfully retired.
Yeah, right.
Well-earned retirement. What keeps you busy now?
Family, pretty much. Yeah, I do a lot of nonprofit stuff now. Stay engaged locally, serving the community, and I don't want any money. I don't need any more money. Yeah. And mostly with family, growing a family. I got grandkids now. My daughters bought a farm. They're turning a cattle farm into a giant lavender business.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
tell me more about that.
I think we have the biggest lavender farm in Washington now. It's only 2.5 years old. It takes a little over 4 years to grow the lavender. We have about 17,000 plants.
Wow.
So
what's it called? What's the name of the farm?
Riverbend Lavender.
Riverbend Lavender.
Yeah.
So anybody who lives in Washington, please support Riverbend Lavender Farms.
Well, all we have, we're so busy because the kids are all engineers and they're still working full time, and so
impressive.
They got a few years left out of me before I won't be able to do that labor. So, but we're putting together, working hard on the weekends, working hard at night, and it's growing now. And I think the kids ultimately decided that they're going to have a lavender farm that'll be a family destination, and it's in a beautiful part of the state, and it's got a salmon river running through it, and they've got dreams of a wedding venue spinning off of that, and an equestrian rink spinning off of that. So They got big ideas, but they're running out of my years, I don't think I'll see it all come together, but I'd like to give them a good start on it. So that's keeping me a little busy. In fact, tomorrow morning I head for the farm, and I'll be farming tomorrow, and the next day it's harvest time. So cutting 17,000 plants takes a little bit of work.
I could imagine. What a beautiful end to your legacy of, you're getting back to the roots, your family, to nature. You're doing it all together. It's, you went up into the stratosphere. You flew all the way up there, and now you're coming back down and really connecting with your family and creating something that will be enjoyed for future generations as well. I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Hope so. Mike. It's all organic. It's sustainable. It's a beautiful part of nature. There'll be a nature walk with it. And my kids wanted to do this, and it lets me get back to the kids after being gone most of their youth. I was gone in the Air Force, and then I was gone watching all those businesses at Lockheed. And so they went off, they got jobs on their own, and now they decided they wanted to do a family business, and I just happened to be now available. And so I said, you got a few good years left out of me, and they're getting every ounce of blood.
That's so sweet. I love that, Mike. That's so sweet.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been like such an honor. Like, I'm trying to find words for how much I appreciate you spending your time here and engaging in such a meaningful conversation. And I had a blast. I hope you did too.
Well, I did too. I mean, it's a neighborly thing to do, is to come down and help others try to succeed. And this is very interesting because, this isn't my area of expertise. This is more an area of curiosity, as a lot of citizens have. And let's try to make something of it. Let's find out what we find out, but let's go about it with appropriate rigor so we can build a coalition that explores and finds. Right.
That's right. Do the very best at everything you do.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Good. Well, good for you. You did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Anything I can do to support you in those in your own personal quest here.
Okay. I will definitely follow up with you on that. Yeah, I sincerely appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. It must have been
traumatic to go through that. Yeah, I mean, I hope you can understand a little bit more why I was kind of seeking solitude when I first got here.
I don't blame it.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
It definitely threw me for a loop. Interestingly enough, though, I became a stronger person afterwards, I'm a happier person. I feel a really deep sense of purpose. I'm trying to figure all this out.
Right. Understand.
So, just the fact that you were so curious about me documenting it and stuff, like that validation is so, it's so meaningful. I truly can't tell you how much it means to me.
Because we now ships on the Alpha 9, because we groups ourselves. What? The sea level, yeah, they sure she went. That's not so wet there. And then he ships around, that's the biggest he